Welcome to One Chapter, One Thought. I'm Pastor Chris from Lincroft Bible Church in New Jersey, and every weekday I read one chapter of the Bible and offer one brief devotional thought. Today's reading is from the book of Proverbs, chapter 16. We can make our own plans, but the Lord gives the right answer. People might be pure in their own eyes, but the Lord examines their motives. Commit your actions to the Lord, and your plans will succeed. The Lord has made everything for his own purposes, even the wicked for the day of disaster. The Lord detests the proud. They will surely be punished. Unfailing love and faithfulness make atonement for sin. By fearing the Lord, people avoid evil. When people's lives please the Lord, even their enemies are at peace with them. Better to have little with godliness than to be rich and dishonest. We can make our plans, but the Lord determines our steps. The king speaks with divine wisdom. He must never judge unfairly. The Lord demands accurate scales and balances. He sets standards for fairness. A king detests wrongdoing, for his rule is built on justice. The king is pleased with words from righteous lips. He loves those who speak honestly. The anger of a king is a deadly threat. The wise will try to appease it. When a king smiles, there is life. His favor refreshes like spring rain. How much better to get wisdom than gold, and good judgment than silver. The path of the virtuous leads away from evil. Whoever follows that path is safe. Pride goes before destruction, and haughtiness before a fall. Better to live humbly with the poor than to share plunder with the proud. Those who listen to instruction will prosper. Those who trust in the Lord will be joyful. The wise are known for their understanding, and pleasant words are persuasive. Discretion is a life-giving fountain to those who possess it, but discipline is wasted on fools. From a wise mind comes wise speech. The words of the wise are persuasive. Kind words are like honey, sweet to the soul and healthy for the body. There is a path before each person that seems right, but it ends in death. It is good for workers to have an appetite. An empty stomach drives them on. Scoundrels create trouble. Their words are a destructive blaze. A troublemaker plants seeds of strife. Gossip separates the best of friends. Violent people mislead their companions, leading them down a harmful path. With narrowed eyes, people plot evil. With a smirk, they plan their mischief. Gray hair is a crown of glory. It is gained by living a godly life. Better to be patient than powerful. Better to have self-control than to conquer a city. We may throw dice, but the Lord determines how they fall. One thought. King Solomon is writing to his son, preparing him for life and leadership. And in Proverbs 16, Solomon depicts here the kind of rule and character qualities that a good king should have. He points out that good kings should speak wisdom. Verse 10, it says, "The king speaks with divine wisdom. He must never judge unfairly." Now, this is significant that he is to speak divine wisdom because the king of Israel was really supposed to be a model Israelite, according to Deuteronomy chapter 17. Deuteronomy 17 gives the king instructions about how he is to relate to the Lord and how he is to lead the people. The king was supposed to write out a copy of God's word by hand so that he would have his own personal copy of God's word to meditate on. Now, such meditation would enable the king to speak, as this verse says, with divine wisdom. Only by saturating ourselves in God's word can we become wise. Only by saturating ourselves in God's word can we mimic the good rule of a good king whereby we're speaking divine wisdom. But we need to allow our thinking to be shaped by God's truth, not merely our own experiences. And so we can speak with wisdom when we're saturating ourselves in God's word. We also see that a hallmark of good rule is justice and fairness. It says in verse 10 that the king must never judge unfairly. Verse 12, the king detests wrongdoing, for his rule is built on justice. Right, a good king, he loves fairness. He upholds justice. He shouldn't favor the rich and the powerful just because they're rich and powerful. He shouldn't allow money or access to tilt the outcomes of what justice should be. But he should pursue fairness and the proper application of justice. So it doesn't matter who you are or what your status is. If you're out of line with the law, there should be consequences for that. And if you're doing the right things, whether you're poor or not, you should be rewarded for that as well. How are we approaching our life? Do we value fairness? Do we value justice? Or do we play favorites? Do we allow others with more resources or who we think will maybe give us a leg up in life? Do they have more access to us? And do we treat them favorably, whereby treating others who maybe we think like, this person really can't help me very much, and so we treat them poorly? And then finally, Solomon here, he shows that the king must use his power wisely. We see in verses 14 and 15 the effect that the king has. It says, the anger of the king is a deadly threat. And then verse 15, when the king smiles, there is life. His favor is like a spring rain. And so Solomon here exposes the immense power that leaders have. If one is angry at you, things can go really bad for you. I think of the book of Esther here, where King Xerxes, he wants his queen named Vashti to come and kind of show her off before all his nobles and powerful people. And the queen Vashti says no, and then Xerxes gets upset, and then he banishes her and exiles her from the kingdom. That is pretty much saying in verse 14, the anger of a king is a deadly threat. On the other hand, the king's favor, a powerful person's favor, can boost someone's life considerably as well. And also, later on in the book of Esther, we see that Esther gains Xerxes' favor, and that's able to help her, especially when she goes before him advocating for the lives of her people. And so the book of Esther is really illustrating these proverbs here. So as leaders, all leaders need to be aware of the immense power that they yield. But maybe for you, you don't feel like you have a position of power, but all of us, to some degree, have influence in the world. Maybe it's influence over your children, or it's small amounts of influence with your coworkers. That's still a form of power that we have that we can either use for God's glory, or we can use to wield it for selfish purposes. And so we need to learn from Solomon's word that kings, leaders, all of us speak wisdom, seek justice, and wield our power for good.